Shooter ready.
Yep.
Shooter ready? Stand by. Shooter ready. Stand by.
Shooter, are you ready? Stand by.
Shooter ready. Stand by. Ready? Stand by.
And if you heard that, that's my fantastic intro to the Shooter Are You Ready podcast. We have a very special guest today, and I also have a co-host today, which is awesome to have because I am not the best at holding conversations. So first, let's bring in the Sultan of the sultry voice, my co-host Paul.
What an introduction, number one.
Well, you have a sultry voice, and we love it.
I try.
We get a lot of compliments on Paul's fantastic linguistic skills. See, I've been reading the dictionary. Like I told you, I'm learning big words.
Oh, that reminds me, I have to tear off my word of the day calendar today. I don't know what it's going to be. It's on the other side of the room, though, and we've got a very special guest, so I will wait to pull out that fireball until probably later on.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, great guest today. Fellow shooter, man I met over the summertime, Mitten State Mayhem was the first time I met this man. Yeah, I'm just very excited to have this guy on. Very well prepared. Probably the most well prepared guest we've had. Ladies and gentlemen, Moishe. So, hello, sir. How are you today? This morning. Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning.
Like I try to do with every podcast and now videocast, it is early because I try to do it early so that I don't have everybody else in my house using up all the internet while I'm trying to do things. And it is so early. I'm still in my pajama pants, but people watching on video can't see that, and people listening obviously can't see that. So it's gonna be a good one. I'm excited.
I have a feeling we're gonna see like it become daylight behind you.
Yeah.
As
We're gonna watch the
ambiance
sunrise
of the
together.
sun. Yeah, see, that's good. We're all here together.
It's so romantic. We watch the sunrise together.
Now, let's get into it. Moishe,
Sure.
you are a man of the competition shooting world yourself. Far better than I. And let's see here. Where did we first meet? I think I first met you at Mitten State Mayhem this year,
Yeah,
right?
I think it was Mitten State. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about yourself, and yeah, go ahead and share anything you're willing to share with the fine listeners of the program here.
Sure. So I've been shooting competitively for a little over 5 years now. I got started right at the prime time in 2020 when all the matches were shutting down. So yeah, I got started at that time. I was sort of looking for ways that I could practice and that kind of thing. And then I went to a little, I started to go to this one club and shoot a little bit of steel challenge. And I just fell in love with it. I'm naturally competitive. I compete in everything that I do. The people at work will tell you how fond I am of betting, even if it's just like we just bet nickels, like literally like a nickel, and it's just like a pride thing. Or like when I went to I hurt my back last year and went to physical therapy, and my physical therapist, all she had to say was, "Oh my gosh, you did that almost as that's almost the longest that I've ever seen someone balance on that before." And I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I'm going for the record. I'm going to be
put my name on the wall.
best patient. I'm going to be balanced for a minute and 4 seconds, So like everything that I do in my life, it just feels like I'm driven. I am driven by competing. And, the fact that you can do that with something exploding in your hand at the same time is just freaking great. It's just great. So much fun. It's so much fun. So that's really where I'm driven. Yeah, and that's my background in competition. I started basically with USPSA. That's where I came from. I met my buddy John through USPSA, and we started to shoot together. I bought my first AK primarily because I learned that you could get Serbian AKs, and my wife is Serbian. She's first generation, and so I was like, I always thought AKs look cool, whatever. But then I found out, they make a Serbian, oh, and I'm Jewish, and so I was like, oh, you mean I can have a Galil and I can have a Zastava, and we can be
Oh yeah.
one big happy family, right? And so so that's when I got my first. That was my first AK. I think John saw me shooting it or found out that I liked AKs too, and so we started to do that. He just happened to mention, there's this AK match thing, around the country. And he'd been following it, he's been shooting way longer than I have. So, but he was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So, yeah,
Were you
we
were you
got started.
shooting growing up, and then competition kind of found you, or
No,
was
no,
competition and
my parents messed up. They wouldn't even let me play with cap guns when I was growing up.
Ooh.
So I had they would not at all, it was like a no. And now both of them, I can take both of them shooting with me now. So which is sort of interesting and a little bit of a reversal. But yeah, no, I had none of it growing up. I bought my first gun when around the time that I had my daughter and got married and started to understand that I'm responsible. I'm responsible for the safety and security of my family, and
There you
and
go.
I tried to take that seriously. And when you do that, it's not just about buying a weapon. It's also understanding how it is that you use it. What do how do you use it? When do you use it? What is a proper use of that? All of that kind of stuff became sort of important. So yeah.
Right on. I'm about there with you. Like I've said before, I didn't necessarily grow up around guns. There was family members that had them, but like I had to hide my BB guns that I acquired through other neighborhood kids from my mother
Mhm,
because
mhm.
like don't trust Jamie with a BB gun, but I'm like I'm hiding this bad boy in the garage and she's never gonna know about it. And then I would just, I mean, this is early mid '90s where like you could sneak a BB gun out of your garage and run down the street to your buddy's house with it. And nobody would freak out. But nowadays, I don't think you'd be able to run down the street with a CO2 powered AK-47 BB gun without somebody getting a little raising an
Mm,
eyebrow at you. But it was
mhm.
a simpler time. It was a simpler time.
Simpler time.
Um, back to your slight introduction into competition with your boy John. Um, I don't know if he's gonna watch or listen, but I have to give props to his mustache because he's
Oh,
a
yeah.
fantastic. That's
It's
like,
famous. It's
oh, it
famous.
is. It's I
Mhm.
think at KCON, he said something to me. He was like, "Hey," and I was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "I've seen you before." And I was like, "Were you at Thunder?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I remember that mustache." I was like, I remember that mustache." And then that's how me and him kind of started to talk. And then obviously we met up with you two at Mitten State. But yeah, fantastic guy all around. So if he's watching or listening, hey buddy, how you doing? Hope
He
everything's well with
watches, he
you.
listens.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
And
That's
I
good to
asked
know.
him if I could mention him and even if I could show videos of him, and he said, "Yeah."
Oh,
So we
nice.
might
wow.
see some later. So
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah.
So you said your first AK was a Serbian.
Yep.
Now was that the old NPAPs? Probably, if you bought it that
No,
while. No,
it was a M70 ZPAP.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my
Um,
first.
so you
So
started off
I'm a
heavy. Oh,
and
go
Mhm.
ahead, Paul.
well, I was just gonna say I'm a big Serbian AK fan. So my first rifle was actually an NPAP. I now have an M90, M92, M85. Like I kind of have this Zastava catalog sitting in my safe right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kind of having been now shooting competitively for 5 years, have you kind of moved on from Serbians, Galils, and kind of explored more flavors of AKs, or have you kind of stuck
Mm.
to
I would
one
hope he wouldn't
pattern?
have moved on from Galil's.
There is no moving on. It's just, and we'll talk about this also when we talk about prepping for a match, but there are two and maybe three guns today, four guns that I would take to a match
Five.
that I can think of and be competitive. One is if I was shooting heavy, it'd be the M70. Okay.
Mhm.
If I'm shooting light, if I'm shooting 5.56, which is primarily what I do now, I would take one of three. I would either take the M90, which I have set up for competition. I would take the SLR 106
Oh,
Arsenal, or this year I'm planning, and I say this like because it's not vetted yet, but my plan is this year is to shoot a Meridian Defense 5.56 suppressed.
nice.
So that's my plan this year. I'll be taking it out for the first time in a competition setting in a couple weeks here, and we'll see how it does. See what I need to do to get it ready. But I think my days of shooting breaks might be over. My hearing is just, it's not great. It's just not, it's definitely starting to go, or it started to go a while ago. And I think I'm ready to do my best to protect my hearing. I double up on ear protection, but I think I'm ready to stop shooting a break and start shooting suppressed just to protect my ears. And I think I'm pretty convinced that it's going to cost me a competitive edge to do that, and I'm okay with it. I feel like I've gotten enough awards or accolades, whatever, that I feel like I can just go out now and just do what I'm going to do with what I want to shoot, and that's what I'm going to do, and be as competitive I can with whatever I want to do. So yeah.
Fantastic. Paul, you are also a big fan of your M90 that you have set up for competition, and you do fantastic with it.
Yeah, that
I'll have to give
is.
you that.
Oh, that is this one right here. Reason I bring it up, I have really kind of stuck to the Zastava Serbian train, just because Zastava parts, Yugo parts they only fit on Yugos. And I have, I think, kind of the same affliction that a lot of shooters and AK shooters have, where it is, okay, I'm going to take one rifle, I'm going to set it up, I'm going to go shoot a match, and then I'm going to take it home and I'm going to take it completely apart because there's something that I didn't like about it, and then I'm going to reset it. But I have to tell you, I'm right in the same boat as you when it comes to brakes. A lot of the competitions that we go to is, hey, you have to shoot through this tube.
Ugh.
O- Okay.
Barrels and
Well,
tires, they're the
yeah, I've
worst.
got this huge F off brake
Yeah.
sitting on the front of the gun, and it's fantastic. But now I have to go to a different situation where it is really kind of punishing to have that huge brake.
Yep.
And I I shot a night match last night where I was shooting suppressed for the first time. I think I'm in the same boat. I only want to shoot suppressed. I think that not I'm not losing too much of an edge when it comes to like splits and things like that, but you do kind of have this hot piece of metal that's sitting out on the front end of your gun, and especially in like a two gun environment. Okay, how do I sling this now? There's a little bit more length. How do I make sure I don't burn the hell out of my shins? So I can definitely agree with you that I think suppressors are the way to go if you're in a state, if you're in an environment where that's allowed to you.
Yeah, I just have to say I think you guys are both being silly. I don't I am never gonna get a suppressor. I just think it's stupid. But one day when I do move out of state, I will definitely pick one up. But as of right now, I think there's no need
As
for
of
it.
right now, I can't have one, so it's
Yeah,
stupid.
as of right now, they tell me no, which is very stupid, honestly. But I don't know. Who knows? Hopefully someday down the future, very wishful thinking, things will change. Highly doubt it, because this state I live in is terrible. But Moishe, props to you for having dedicated guns to shoot in competition. I am getting there because I have too many options. I like to add things that I think, oh, this will give me the competitive edge. It's not the practice. It's not me being good at shooting. It's the fact I just bought this new thing to put on here. This is going to set me over the bar. So I've basically narrowed it down to like 3 rifles. I haven't shot any PCC yet. I want to because I have a couple guns I think would be pretty fun for that. But I have like this KR 103 here, which is, a lot of people hate on KUSA, American made AK, whatever, companies out of business, what have you. This thing has never given me an issue. I've never had any malfunctions with it. It's run flawlessly through thousands of rounds, no exaggeration, like multiple thousands, and it works and it's fantastic. And then I have my SLR 107 that I was using for a while that has a magnified and like a offset red dot on it. And then I kind of got away from that at the end of the year to start shooting 5.56 with my WBP. And that's once you've been shooting 7.62 for a while and you go to 5.56, you almost don't want to go back to 7.62 just because it's just so much nicer. There's like it, I don't know. Like I was practicing the other day in the 5.56. I started practicing with that, and then I was like, all right, let's go 7.62. And I'm like, fuck, this is different. I mean, it's not like a whole other world, but I mean, there's definitely a difference as far as recoil mitigation and just controlling it a little bit more and like double taps and every. I mean,
Oh, there's
there's a difference.
There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
We were at we shot AK Masters this summer, John and I, and one of the stages had a stage gun, a PSA 7.62 AK. And then you had to jump down this tube. I have that video. We'll watch that video together. That was a great stage. But yeah, we'd been shooting 5.56 AKs in competition all day with our, with whatever we had, the adjustable gas and the brakes, and you can hold it one-handed, and then you switch to a 7.62 gun, and there is a significant difference. Significant.
It's almost like you're taking like a vacation, like you're not necessarily a vacation, but like you're taking the easy way. I'm not necessarily downplaying people who do 5.56. I love shooting the 5.56, but like if like say like KCON, it's a 2-day stage. Like say the first day you start off and you're doing 7.62, and the next day you're like, I'm going to use my 5.56. You're just the next day would just be so much more pleasant for you and a little bit nicer because you're like, this is great. Why the hell didn't I shoot this yesterday? But then there's also something to be said, like for instance at Clash Bash, they had you shoot like a spinner that was pretty heavy and it was pretty far out, and you had to like double or triple tap that thing with a 5.56 to get that thing to spin over. And I think I did. Did I have 5.56 when I tried? No, I had 7.62, but you could definitely tell. I mean, that's another advantage. I mean, obviously like bullet weight, distance, drop, all that stuff. It's all something you have to factor in when you're obviously switching calibers. But to a skilled shooter, unlike myself, it's, you'd be able to figure it out. But I'm trying. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was 5.56. I enjoy it. I think I'm gonna shoot more of it next year, but I also really want to start putting in the work with this 7.62 103 here, because I made a video of it a while ago where it's like it's always my backup rifle, and then it's like, why did I choose it as a backup rifle? Because it always works. Because I know if something goes wrong with whatever else I brought, that thing will work. It'll just go. And then I was laying there one night like, if you trust that thing so much and you think it's that great, why aren't you just using that like primarily? So I'm gonna give it the credit that it's due, because it works. And like I said, it's never given me one single issue. So why the hell not use it? Anyways, enough about me. You're the guest here. I just get going. Now I'm all hopped up on coffee.
Well, that's what happens when you do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, right.
I'm on my fourth step.
So back to competing. What made you? Well, obviously you bought the Serbian AK. What made you? I think I have a slight answer you're going to get for this. Why AK matches specifically do you find yourself more drawn to? I guess you said you started in the what is it, IPS IIS? I don't know what that is.
USPSA.
Yeah, that's it. USPCA.
Yeah. So I think, and I've done a little bit of traveling for other matches. I've shot other major matches, and typically in any other competition, whenever you hear about a major match, something that's next level, something that people are traveling for, it's all about the competition, about competing, right? It's all that's what it is. You are going to put yourself up against the best of the best in the country, in the world, and whatever. AK matches tend to be a little bit different than that. They don't take themselves too seriously. Okay. First and foremost, I think with every AK match that I've ever shot, having fun comes first.
Oh, hell yeah.
It does. That's actually, that is compelling to me. there are different ways to shoot them and different ways to think about them. Am I going to LARP? Am I going to, am I going to dress up? Am I going to, shoot, my scorpion, my little scorpion,
Oh
that,
yeah.
you see all of this kind of stuff where, where else do you really get to do that and be in a community where, someone's going to come up to you and be like, oh, that's so, get excited and geek out about what you're doing and what you're wearing and all those kind of things that, it's just different. And it's not to say that there isn't a strong competitive aspect to it. There is, but it's certainly not, you don't tend to get the best of the best shooters in the world, because there's no way, there's no way that I'm I'm going to be on the podium at any other type of competition that I go to.
Right.
There's just no way. There's no, when I go, when I shoot a USPSA match, which I think it is the most competitive and, the most competitive type of practical shooting that there is, I'm going to be middle of the pack when I, when I went at a major competition. At home, I might be closer to the top, but at a major competition, where, AK matches, you don't know, it's just a little, you're not going to have people that you have some people there that are super competitively focused, but it's not quite the same thing. And
Yeah.
the only other thing I would say is that, the match directors at these things work really, really hard to make the stages interesting, different, create a vibe, and they do an amazing job of it. All the ones we go to. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree with you that AK people bring a different vibe to competition, because there's a local like little practical rifle area, or what the hell am I trying to think of, range that does like a monthly practical rifles, setup, like 4 stages. And I remember the first time I went there, it was right after I did Thunder on the Tundra, because that was like my first one, like 3 years ago, was my first competition. And then when I went to this local practical rifle, I go with the old lady, I'm getting out of my truck, I'm unloading all my stuff, and I'm looking around and everybody's just like kitted out. It looks like I'm in a Call of Duty video game, and I see no AKs anywhere. And I was like, am I the only asshole here that brought an AK? And then this guy comes walking around his car wearing a banana suit. And I was like, that guy has an AK. And then she's like, how do you know? I was like, he's dressed as a banana. And then sure enough, that guy had an AK. And I was like, yes. I was like, I'll be okay here. I was like, that guy gets it. Because, I mean, it's all about having a good time for the I mean, don't get me wrong. I love competing. Everybody wants to do good, obviously. But it's a different crowd. I mean, and I don't necessarily, like you said, I've gone to local competitions where it's not all AK people. Like me and my group of people, such as Paul and Brandon and everybody else, we're like the AK people at these things. But you can just feel like with our squad and like other squads, there's more laughing coming from our squad than the other squads. It's not all business. You got to have some fun. So I get that 100%.
I think AK guys are also more open to helping people, in terms of like, I shot USPSA for a little bit, not enough where it's like, it's like GM, Master, ABC, like you get the classifiers. I never got classified, but I remember I went to a match and it wasn't a major. It was just a local USPSA match. There was a guy there on the squad who was just shredding. I'd never really walked through a stage before. It was one of my first pistol matches, and I just walked up to him while we were going through a walkthrough, and he was standing off to the side. He had already gone through his walkthrough, and I said, "Hey, man, what are some things that I should be looking for on this stage?" And he said, "Well, have you shot it yet?" Well, nobody had shot it yet. Like we're still doing the walkthrough, and I was like, "No, not yet." And he was like, "Once you've shot it, then we can talk. But I'm not going to give you any help until we've shot it." I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh." That's what this environment is like. We weren't even in the same division. I was shooting production. He was shooting open. It was like we're technically not even really competing against each other. And then afterwards, he was like, "Hey, here's what I looked for at the stage and everything like that." And I was like, "Hey, dude, cool. I just had like 2 complete misses because I forgot these targets. Like, I don't like.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
but no
helping me
thanks."
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then last year
Mm.
at KCON on our squad, we had people with like range finding binoculars on carbon fiber feet that were looking through and calling our hits out at 600. And if you would, and I forgot a target as I was going around shooting a stage with a shield out in front of me, and everybody who was waiting was sitting there saying, "Go back, go to the front, go to the front, go to the front." And
Yeah.
those were people that I was directly competing against. And I
Mhm.
just feel like that is the overall vibe of an AK match, where you hit the nail on the head. Hey, we like to have fun. Yes, we like to compete, but it's also kind of dudes watching guys being dudes on the clock, and everybody kind of helping each other. If your
Yeah.
rifle detonates, there's going to be 4 guys that are going to be sitting there next to you saying, "Hey, you can use mine. Here's some ammo for you." If you forget mags, there's going to be somebody that's going to be, handing you a mag as you're getting up and ready to go. And I just think that that is more of the kind of camaraderie, because I don't know, it's AKs.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Right.
it's just
Everybody's
something.
there for the same reason. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody obviously wants to do good, but nobody wants to see anybody hate what they're doing or be, fumbling around. That's why, like, I've talked to a few people over my tenure here, and like on Instagram, there's a lot of people who, love taking pictures of their stuff, making it look good, lots of filters, lots of good, fun looking stuff, and great pictures. And then, like, some of these people, I just mentioned this the other day when I was talking to Bolts, but like some of these people, I'm like, hey, you live here. This competition's not too far away from you. Are you gonna be there? I'll be there. Maybe we can meet up. Nah, I don't do competition. Like, why? It's just not me. And I'm like, it's so much fun. I've never done it before. I was like, it doesn't matter. I was like, everybody there is there for a good time. Everybody there is gonna help you out. You're guaranteed to have fun. Like, was I nervous at my first competition? Absolutely. But after I think second stage, I was like, okay, everybody here is very cool. This is gonna be a good time. Because like I didn't know anything. You're nervous. Everybody's nervous their first
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
jumping in. But AK matches are different. It's a different group of people. And they're all
I
weird,
mean,
which
I
I
will
like.
say some of that's going to be regional and even like at the club level. Like um, the USPSA that I've shot has been extremely welcoming, and a lot of collaboration, a lot of I felt welcome at my first match. I was mentored at my first match, and I would say it's been that way for every type of competition that I've gone to. If I'm being honest, I'm shooting 22 PRS and NRL now. I just got started in that, and shooting my first matches, and I'm never afraid to ask, and
Yeah.
and I'm not afraid to, and for anyone who's had that type of experience, Paul, like what you had, I would say move on to the next person that
Mhm.
might be, or move on to the next club. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater and just
Oh,
you know let's just you might have a different experience somewhere else, but that being said, like I said, USPSA, it is the most competitive, which means that
oh yeah.
you have people there that are there to compete, and that is what is important to them. You have a lot of that. So yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
So I guess this is a pretty good segue. For somebody who is looking to attend their first match, Moish, it sounds like you shoot pretty much every discipline of competition under the sun. If there is somebody who's looking to attend their first match, what should they bring other than a positive attitude? I'm just gonna, cut you off right there because I know that's gonna be the first answer for everybody. Uh,
I
but
wasn't going to give that at all.
I feel like that's the first thing that everybody says, where it's like, oh, what should you bring to like your first match? Well, number one, a positive attitude.
This isn't a
But
job.
Yeah, right. You have your GWA, your good
I'll
working
be pissed
attitude.
off if I want to be pissed off. I'm gonna.
Yeah. I got a flat tire on the way here. What the fuck you mean have a good mood?
oh, you could be like
Uh,
Matt. You could smoke a deer on your way to Mitten State
yep,
Mayhem.
yep, yep,
Oh
yep.
yeah.
But what are some things that people should bring, either expect to bring, expect to find on their first matches? What are some things that maybe you showed up to a match without, and you thought, man, I really wish that I had this.
So, I think I did make a list of a couple things that you people may not have thought of, and let me just start with talking about what is your goal when you go to one of these matches. And I sort of thought about it in two different ways. Is it my first match? Am I going to have fun, or am I going to be competitive and do my best? Notice I didn't say win. I'm not going to win. I don't really know about that. I mean, yes, I have one, but it, it's not my goal when I go to these things to say anyway, it's
That's where you and I
either
differ.
am I going first match or I'm going to have fun, or I'm going to do my best. And if I'm going to have fun, all of these things are pretty much going to apply to doing your best as well. But just start with having a packing list. That's for any match that I go to. I use Notes on Apple, and it has the little check boxes, and I can uncheck the things that I forgot. And that pack list exists in my notes, and I can edit it. And but it's always there. I think that is absolutely critical. Be in the absolute best physical shape you can be in. Okay, you're going to be walking somewhere between 5 to 15 miles. Forget about the 15 to 120 seconds that you're going to be all out running or doing whatever. It's the walking that will get you. 5 to 15 miles easy, and that's a day. So if you can be in the absolute best physical shape you can be in, you will have the most fun. You will be the least sore. You will approach your last stage and be ready to shoot it, rather than I want to get this over with and get home because I'm beat. If you can get to that last stage and you're still ready to shoot and you're still in a physical condition to be ready to shoot, you are way ahead of the game. Packing snacks, water, electrolytes. Notice I said snacks. I think that if you're much better off eating, in my opinion, eating as little as possible,
Wait a
not
minute,
overloading.
You don't bring a hoagie?
No.
Okay. We have a buddy who one day whipped out, I'm not even like an 8-inch hoagie, like on the third stage. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You got to eat, dude. You got to keep fueling the machine. I was like, no, dude, I'll have like a banana. That's a little excessive. But I'm sorry. That just popped in my head. Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. You're good. A stool, chair. I think that those are good things to have. About when you go to a match, what percent of time do you think you're shooting?
Yeah, right.
1%, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You're out
would
there
say
for
that's probably about right.
40 to 70 seconds while you're waiting an hour for everybody else.
Yeah,
There-
exactly.
At least.
there's more on this list, but the stool chair, cannot recommend that enough. And it's something that I do not have, that I'm going to start bringing to matches. Like, I'm out there actively shopping for a packable chair right now,
You got to get
because
the
I'm
little
just
all right. I'm guilty of this. I give my buddy, the hoagie buddy, Brandon, I give him shit all the time because he always whips out a chair. Even if he doesn't have a chair, he finds one. Somehow he found a chair to sit in. And I'm like, Brandon, you can't, for me, I don't know though. Like if I sit down, I feel like once I get up and start moving, it's going to take me a while to get the machine going again, to get everything loose. So I try not to sit down. I'll lean. But Moishe, your little triangle chair stool thing you had, I like that because it's small, it's compact, and that's something I could easily throw in my cart. So I was looking at that when you were at Mitten State, like, okay, maybe that's not a bad
cool
idea.
one. I'll give you another one. And this one's it's expensive. I think they're close to $300, but it's called the Mac Daddy Caddy, which is basically, it's a padded seat that also functions as a cart. So it's got like ammo storage and a cooler, and like it's pretty cool. My girls bought me that one year for some holiday and birthday, Hanukkah, Christmas, something like that. But I think that's great. If it suits the purpose, if it's a one gun match like that will work. You know, if it's a 2-gun or more, or even if it's an AK, I mean, typically we want to have a cart.
If you're watching the video, or if you're listening to the audio, we pulled up the Mac Daddy Caddy for 3
There
This
it
lives
is.
up to its name.
Yeah.
That thing is sweet. I've
It
had
looks
it for
sweet.
about 4 years. It's held up. It's held up pretty well.
That's awesome.
It's built for duck hunting in a field, just like what you see right there. But
Is that a
I
cooler
think
below the seat?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was an engine.
I don't use it for a cooler. I'll pack just random mat shit in there, and then
Yeah.
behind those wheels, you can see there's like an ammo case back there. But yeah, that's a pretty sweet ride. If I'm gonna pack a cart, like a wagon, typically I have one of those hydraulic rocking chairs that I'll pack.
Nice.
That's my favorite right now. I am getting older, it makes sense. You
Aren't
see
we
me in a
all?
rocking chair, so
I don't want to take
those
this
are
hat off and show how old I
super
am.
comfortable. But just if I can, I'll continue on, just some other things to prep. Bring money, because there's a good chance there's going to be vendors there, and there's going to be stuff that you're going to want to buy.
Yeah.
The vendors are a big reason why we get to do what we get to do. So we want to make
Oh, yeah.
sure that we're supporting them, and it's not hard to do, because there
No.
will be stuff that you want, and it would there will be stuff. So bring a little bit of money to spend with the vendors. Making sure your gun runs, that's super important.
That's huge.
And not just runs. Okay, I went out and I ran a mag through it. Did you run it in the weather that you're going to be shooting in? Did you run it in a match condition? Did you, because that's and the bottom line is, if your gun doesn't run, it's going to piss you off.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to make you angry. It's going to make you angry. So you do want to make sure that your gun is running. That's important. First things, understanding the rules that will get you disqualified and how to avoid getting disqualified.
Yeah.
Super, super important. You travel 8 hours, you break the 180, you get disqualified, you're
Yeah.
done for the entire weekend on your first stage. That's going to suck.
Yeah.
That's really going to suck. So understanding what is going to get me disqualified, and how, and practicing that before anything else. When I'm moving, my finger is off the trigger.
Oh, yeah.
What does it mean that the gun moves independent of your body, so that, when I turn this way to run, my gun still stays pointed in this direction, downrange, even though my body is turned to start moving. And practicing that motion, what does it mean? Because everyone's instinct, when you put a gun in their hand and they take their first shot and they turn around with the gun in their hand.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That's what happens. So that is something that you have to sort of train out of your system and understand. What does it mean to have the weapon move independent of your body? It doesn't have to go in the direction that your body's going. If I'm turning around, I have to retreat back up range. I can turn my whole body and run backwards and still have my gun pointed down range, and understanding what that means and how to do that.
I'm going to put a cherry on top of that one, because like you mentioned earlier, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask the same one 4 times if you don't understand it. Ask it a different way if you have to get the answer you're looking for, because
sometimes you have to.
You have to. Good example, not talking bad about anybody. We were at Mitten State Mayhem.
I know where he's going with this.
It was that Hollywood match, and you kept asking. That guy said, you can shoot here, and here, but you can't shoot through here. And you're like, I remember it was you like, well, what about here? I can't answer that. well, what about like I can't answer? And you're like, I'm just not trying to get DQ'd. I'm looking for an answer here. Can you shoot it like this? I can't answer. And I'm like, well, why the hell can't you? Because are you just waiting for somebody to do something? Be like, boom, DQ. And it's like, no, I just asked you 4 times. I mean, you got to find the answer you're looking for, because I understand why he was frustrated. I mean, it was hot. Poor guy was standing out there, no shade all day. And there's always people trying to ask you a question to get a slight advantage in game, a stage. And so I understand getting frustrated with the same stupid question of people trying to, get their 2 seconds added or taken away. But ask questions 100%. If, you're walking through with the ROs and everybody and he says something and you didn't hear it, ask about what he just said. Ask everybody else what just happened. I mean, don't go through like, okay, I think I understand it. Make sure you understand it. Because like you said, like when I drove to Clash Bash, that's a 19-hour trip. The last thing I wanted was to be told you're going home. Like, a couple stages into the day. That'd be terrible. So ask questions. Make sure you understand what's going on. And just, yeah, don't be afraid to ask multiple times. That's all. I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. That was the exception to the rule. I mean, typically speaking, ROs are there. I'm an RO. I'm a USPSA certified RO. I'm a volunteer RO at Kalashnikon. I'm there to help keep people safe.
Thank you for your service.
First, and second, to make sure that people have fun, and maybe tied with second is to make sure that the rules are followed.
Yeah.
But all those things are important for an RO. And if you don't have that, in my opinion, if that's not where your heart is, if that's not where your head is, it's maybe not for you. It's
right.
it just might not be for you. But I can't say where that particular RO was coming from. I know he had a long day. That's for sure. It's some stuff happened that day. I'm sure some stuff happened that day. And I will 100% give him the benefit of the doubt there. He was basically, and I think that it makes sense what, there was a reason he was telling me, ask the question a different way.
Yeah.
And so I was trying. And so, then it's sort of a little bit of a dance. Well, all I want to know is, am I breaking the 180? And finally I asked, if I point my rifle here, is that breaking the 180? And the problem is that you're on that particular stage. You're on a stage that's basically a 270 bay, 270 degrees, right? So it's a little bit, it can be a little bit confusing as to where is the 180 when you're on a 200, because 180 is typically speaking in relation to the backstop. You look at the backstop, you look at the shooter, and it's 180 degrees to the backstop. Well, that isn't always clear when you're in a bay that has multiple sides to it. So, once and so we don't know why he didn't want us to ask the question. There was a reason. I promise you. I know there was a reason why why he was hesitant to answer that question. But again, I just was like, okay, so if I point my weapon here at this time, am I breaking the 180, or is it a safety violation? That's all I want to know. And he was able to answer that. So but the ROs typically, I mean, they're there to help.
Yeah.
They really are there to help. If they're not there to help and they're not being helpful, that's something that the match director needs to hear about.
Yeah. I haven't shot as much per se as you. I think I'm 3 years into it, but I've met my fair share of different ROs. There's very awesome ones. There's ones where I'm like you said, like, why are you even doing this? Like you just seem miserable. And there's like, the ROs who enjoy it. They're there to make sure everybody has fun. And then there's the ROs who like, I'm doing this to cover my registration fee, but props to ROs that do it. I don't think I'd be able to. I always say, oh, I'd do it. I'd help out. I'd volunteer. That's a job. I mean, you figure, let's just say rough average here. You have 5 squads, 15 people, 10 people on each squad, 5 squads, 10 people on each squad. You have 50 people coming up to you, asking you silly questions. You're hearing the same question. You're hearing the same question in different ways, and you're constantly repeating yourself with like either the same simple question, the same dumb question. You know, you have to watch everybody at this certain area of the stage because two people have already messed up earlier that day. It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
It's a
So
lot.
my hat's off.
And
I'm not taking
depending
it
on your
off now, but
personality style, if you have to DQ someone,
oh
that's hard to do.
yeah,
You
Yes.
know, if I have to send you home after you drove 8 hours
yeah,
to get here, like, you know, that can be the hardest part of the job, is having to do that. No, I shouldn't say no one wants to do that.
right.
Some people do.
Hmm.
And I have a theory on that, but um I won't go into that. Um, yeah, some people are known for loving to DQ people, and
Right.
I sort of have this theory that for the majority of them, it's not that they love to DQ people; it's that they make a game out of following the rules.
Oh yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're, you know, they're rigidly enforcing the rules, and making a game out of making sure that and you know, on the, you know, you do have to, and I'm not talking about, you know, if someone breaks the 180, you know, if someone breaks these rules and whatever else, you have to you have to enforce those rules. And the reality of the situation is the enforcing of those rules is what keeps us safe on the range.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It really is. You know, you might be the type of person that isn't going to be able to learn that until you're face to face with the fact that you mess something up, and you're going to have to, you know, you have to suffer the consequences of it, you know. But that is what keeps us safe. And, you know, this is it's amazing how safe this sport is.
Oh.
It doesn't make any sense, but this sport is, I don't know. I've been doing it 5 years. I've never seen someone get hurt. You know, that
Yeah.
I can think of. You know, it's just it's unbelievable. And I shoot a lot of matches. But let me go back, if I can,
Yeah, go
to
for it.
just talking about prepping for your first match and going to have fun. Um, uh, in addition to like practicing the rifle moving independent of your body, when you're doing your walkthrough and everyone is doing your walkthrough, that's the first thing that you want to look at. And that's really where you want your focus to be, is where does my gun need to be pointed at all times? And when you're doing that walkthrough and you see everyone is like, well, I'm going to take a half step here and I'm going to, you know, do this ballet move over here, and, you know, all of that. Focus on, where is my gun going to be? How am I going to move with my gun? Oh, I have to retreat here. Where's my gun going to be pointed when I retreat? So
Yeah.
there's that. Don't sweat missing targets. You're probably going to miss targets. Who cares? It's fine. Don't beat yourself up for missing targets. It's your first match. You're here to have fun. You're going to miss targets. You're going to make mistakes. Don't sweat it.
I need to take that advice.
Yeah. Shoot the gun that you think you're going to have the most fun shooting. Not necessarily the one that's going to be the most competitive. Oh, this has this competitive edge, you know, whatever else. If you're there to have fun, if you're there, it's your first match, shoot what is going to be the most fun for you. And then I think the last thing that I had on that is, nobody cares how fast you shoot a stage. Your fellow competitors do not care how fast you shoot. They care about two things. They care about, number one, were you safe? And number two, did you help reset? That's the
Oh, yeah.
only thing. That's the only thing anyone cares about.
Huge.
You know, if you shoot that slow, if you shoot that fast, we don't care. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. All we care about is, did you do it safely, and did you help reset?
But what was your raw time? That's the question.
I've
the
never
question.
had somebody walk up and Well, outside of like people that I knew and say, "Hey, what was your raw time?"
Dude.
I have had people walk up to me and say, "This guy looks unsafe," and those guys over there aren't helping reset the stage. Like
Yeah.
those are 100% the two biggest things that people notice on your squad.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm with the International Brotherhood of Target Pasters, so I paste like crazy. So
I
yeah,
actually
What
went
are
out
your
and I
union demands?
I want my stickers to be the same color as the cardboard because that drives me nuts when
Okay.
they're off.
Okay.
That's all. And
All
retiming.
right. So
I
then
went
in
out and I bought an
practice,
auto sticker
Jamie,
for that
you should
reason.
be shooting with off-color pasties.
I actually just
Pasters.
had some the other day, and
Yeah.
my ADD kicked in, and it was driving me nuts. I'm like, the same
Good.
color, and that's
Keep
just pissing me
keep doing
off.
that. Keep
Yeah,
doing that. You'll be better off for it.
yeah. Well, I'll take your advice. But
Okay, so Paul did ask a couple things that you should bring. So I
yeah.
did have a very short list of some things that you may not have thought about bringing. Flashlight, headlamp, weapon light. Okay, the number of competitions that I've been to that was not a night match, but ran until the match was running late and it got
Oh,
to the last stage and it's like dusk. That happens. So flashlight and even you're packing your stuff up in the dark,
Oh yeah.
flashlight, headlamp, weapon light. I think that those are good things to have. Batteries,
oh
uh,
yeah.
band-aids if you're running
Yep.
an AK, right? You
Yep.
won't know how she beats you up, but she's going to beat you up. She's going to find a way, right? Um, Snacks, I already said. Knee pads are good. I wear knee pads. If my knee is going to the ground, I'm probably going to have a knee pad, and that's more just about longevity for me. Like I want to be able to walk when I'm 90, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm going to do to protect myself. And then the last thing I had on that was opera glasses, like small binoculars. Bigger binoculars are fine, but depending on the match, there may be something out there that you want to be able to see.
Right.
So
Man,
yeah, that
I'm
was
adding number one the term opera glass to my lexicon because that is incredible. But I last night I was packing up in the dark and I just keep a little flashlight. One thing to add on that, red lens for the flashlight. You can just do a snap over for it. It doesn't and it's literally just like a little cover that you can put that it's just a red diffuser on there and it just doesn't destroy your night vision if you have red. So last night I was packing up in the dark. I had the flashlight in my mouth and I was going around, it was red, and then a guy next to me turns and he's got this big 1,000-watt f off light and he shines it right in my eyes and he goes, "Hey, do you have, did you find this or something like that?" No, I didn't. I turned back and all of the mags that I had on the bed of my black truck, the black mags, were just blending right in there because my night vision was just gone. So that you can find it on Amazon and they have caps that go over just about every single flashlight that's on there, and it's just kind of like a respectful for the people that are around you
There you go.
add. But having little binoculars, I'm adding that to my list because that's definitely something I've run into where I am like, well, shoot, I kind of want to see how does this target actually look that's downrange, because especially if it's steel and it's at distance, they can get really hard to see as the day goes on and they're getting peppered with stuff and they start to really blend into the background.
Yep,
Yeah.
and you can make reference to the background.
Hmm.
So, this tree is directly bisecting this target, or I can see it's just a little bit to the right or left. But yeah, those little binoculars are great. A rangefinder could do the
Yeah. I was
same
just gonna
thing.
say I just won like a little handheld one. It's like the size of, I don't know, a little bit bigger than, I don't know. It's not that bad. You can fit in your hand,
Yeah.
but it's a 6X and it's nice, and it's also a rangefinder. So if somebody's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, there's that target out there," and you do, oh, it's that far away. But
You
I
can
would
also
also like to add. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was just going to say rangefinders you can also find pretty cheap. Like
Yeah.
you can just get the little golf rangefinder, and it's not going to give you, perfect where it's like, you're at 587.8 feet, but it might tell you, hey, is that 110 yards or 100 yards?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
just to kind of get you into that equipment realm, like golf pro shops and kind of other sports that are out there have similar equipment that you can just repurpose for your shooting needs.
Yeah. I like to throw in sunscreen. That's a huge one.
Mhm.
And some people are probably like, I don't get sunburnt. It's not that bad. But these are also some of the same people who aren't outside, from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m., like a 12-hour day, like continuously. Whereas like I continuously work outside. I don't feel like I get sunburnt anymore. I just turn into a darker shade. But a lot of people, sunburn is like the number one. I wouldn't say number one. It's definitely one of the top 5 things I hear people bitching about on the second day of competitions. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm so burnt from yesterday. And it's like, should have some sunscreen on because you're out
I'll
here
tell
all
you
day.
what, I started, I'm wearing sun shirts now.
Oh yeah,
So
I just
Same.
moved
even
on to
in
that team.
even in 95-degree weather, I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt and maybe even a hood or
Yeah,
something that's, protecting. So I don't like sunscreen. I will, if I'm not wearing a sun shirt, I will wear sunscreen. I don't know. It's just kind of
yeah.
gross.
I've also moved onto the sun shirts because at work I have to wear long sleeve shirts and stupid shit all day, even if it's like 110 degrees. So I'm no stranger to sweating my ass off. But the sun shirts are actually, I think we wore them. What was that? Second day of Thunder, we had them
Mhm.
on. It was fantastic. The hood's nice. It keeps the sun off beating on the back of your neck all day, and it's I don't know. It keeps you cool. I don't know. To people who don't know, it actually works wearing long sleeves when it's sunny and hot out because it doesn't have the sun beating on your arms and the back of your neck all day, which actually kind of keeps your body temperature slightly lower to where you're not feeling miserable if you were just walking around in a t-shirt per se. And the other thing I wanted to add was Tylenol or ibuprofen because
For
that
sure.
first day you're running around,
Oh
you're
yeah.
beating yourself up. Like for me, I think it was last year at a competition, I was like running and then you'd hurry up and stop and just kind of jerk yourself. And then that night, dude, my knee was just like, what the hell happened today? And I was literally laying in the bathtub because my knee was all swelled up because I must have tweaked it the wrong way. And that was just the first day. I still had to go back the second day. And so ibuprofen came in clutch that night. And then
Mhm.
I'm with you on the knee pads. At first I
Mhm.
wasn't, but all it took was one cold March competition I was at to kneel down on the perfectly set piece of brass to get like right under your kneecap and the little knee meat there, like
Mhm.
between your shin and your kneecap, bruised my knee, and my knee was killing me for like a week after that. Just because it was cold and I was kneeling on this thing for 20 seconds and it was just god awful. And so I'm with you. At least for me, I think I'm going to start bringing it like maybe I'll just buy a pair. Who the hell buys one knee pad? But I'm definitely probably going to start throwing them on my cart just in case. Like you have to kneel down at this stage. I was like, oh, cool. It's all gravel. Thank God I have to kneel on that. So
Yep.
yeah, knee pads are clutch. That's a huge one that some people probably don't think about.
Yep.
I kind of pre-match for me, just because I've seen so many heat casualties. Hydrate if you're shooting a match on Saturday and Sunday, hydration starts Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
You can't if you're going to the match on Saturday saying, "Hey, I'm going to chug a whole lot of water on my way to the match from 7:30 to 8."
You're already done.
You're already way behind. You can't play catch up when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Um, like you should also be drinking while you're shooting, but kind of getting back to like, hey, be in the best physical shape that you can. You need to set yourself up for success for it. Don't go out drinking the night beforehand. And don't drink 15 quick trip glazers on the way to the range. That morning. Try to almost think of it like you're going to be running a marathon. Like, what would a marathon runner do? Do you think a marathon runner before the marathon will go out and have 16 highballs? Probably not. But that's just something to consider. And I know that getting around kind of with people that you don't necessarily see all the time, maybe this will be the once or twice a year that you do actually see these people that you're shooting with. You do want to party with them and you do want to have fun, but sitting off to the side of the range and throwing up into the berm before it's your turn to shoot isn't necessarily sometimes the
Hey,
best look
Are
for
you
somebody.
speaking
hey,
from experience? Is that what's going on?
I'm speaking because I saw somebody at KCON do it, but then I also saw him on the podium later that day, so I could
yeah.
also be
Oh.
talking
Props
out of my
Oh.
given.
ass here. Yeah,
Love that guy. That guy,
Who was
I
it?
whole
he's
other
built
deal.
different.
Um, yeah, it was Neil. I'll say it. I don't care. The guy's Guy's an animal. He can shoot with the best of 'em.
Dude, yeah. If
mhm.
I was doing that, I'd be crying and going home.
Oh, dude,
Uh,
I seen him do that, and he's like, "I'm fine," and I'm like, "Oh my goodness," and he was, dude, he still killed it, and I was like, "Man, look at me out here completely sober, and I can't even get my shit together."
Now I've seen other people do that, and I did not see them on the podium later, and I didn't see them really in the parking lot later either.
Yeah, no, they were probably
So,
relaxing.
this is not a performance enhancement that
Yeah.
is going on here.
The other thing I wanna say, which I try I speak of doing it and preach it, and I don't necessarily say I do it as much as I say I should. Um, Diet is a huge thing for me. Like, don't gang up on pizzas and stupid shit like a couple days before, know that you're gonna be like you said, you're gonna be running, you're gonna be doing some physical stuff, and you want to be your best. And like the last competition I just went to last weekend, I gorged out on a Costco pizza the night before like an idiot, and I felt it. And I was like, why the hell did you do that? It's because I like to hate myself, and Costco pizza is cheap and it's whatever. But like, I don't know, I try to not eat like a complete ass, like at least, as far back as I can before a competition, especially the night before. But then like when you go to snacks, like I love bringing the little Rice Krispie treats like for snacks. And then I'll bring like, peanut butter crackers or beef jerky. Beef jerky is huge. But then little Rice Krispie treats, it's just a quick, fast burning carb that has a lot of sugar in it that'll just kind of give you the nice little pep you need to get going, per se, rather than, oh, it's halftime at KCON. I'm going to hit the barbecue truck and I will be getting a half a rack of ribs and some French fries because I only have 4 stages left. That's some people can do it and get away with it. I choose not to. I got the smoked turkey sandwich and I ate light. But yeah, like back to what Paul's saying, if you're not drinking at least a bottle of water per stage, like the day of, which you should have been drinking days before, hydration is huge. A lot of people will just, trot on through the day with I drank a monster when I got here this morning and I've been sipping on this bottle of water. It's like you're kind of being an idiot right now.
Ooh,
That's
I got a good pointer that's related to that.
hit me.
If you're on a stage, you're getting ready to break for lunch, okay? Or even if you have to go to the bathroom, whatever it is, whatever you need to do to prep for that next stage, do that before you do that offhand
Oh, yeah.
activity, because there is a 50% chance if you don't reload your mags before you break for lunch or before you even just take a break to go to the bathroom or go do whatever you need to do some admin with your weapon or something, whatever else, there's a good chance you're going to show up on that next stage with unloaded mags, and you're going to find out on the timer that you have unload mags or that you aren't ready. So do your prep before you take that break. And also just make the realization that, okay, I just took myself out of the match to do whatever. What do I need to do to get back into it? And run through a little bit of a checklist there. What do I need to do to get back into this?
Oh, the checklist is huge. You mentioned that on things to have to prepare, like the notes on your phone. That's huge. I've always told myself I've made a list, but I haven't. And I think it's good, like you said, get in a like a what's the word I'm thinking of here? Like a routine before competitions. Like get this, and this together. Try to get in like the same motion before you go traveling to these competitions. Because the one time I decided don't put your magazines in your range bag, start keeping them in an ammo can. One of my good buddies, fucking Tommy. Tommy told me to do that. Keep them in a ammo can. That way, you bring this many mags and they're in this can. I'm like, oh, fantastic idea. I left for KCON. I had everything but that ammo can. So I'm showing up to shoot competition with the one magazine I had floating in my back seat somewhere. And I was panicking for some reason, thinking there's going to be no magazines there for me to use. But yeah, just try to get in a routine when you're packing and triple check, quadruple check. I don't know what the word is after quadruple, but double quadruple check to make sure that you have everything, especially if you're traveling multiple hours to go somewhere. It doesn't hurt to pack your truck or your vehicle or whatever the night before, and then double check before you actually leave. Because forgetting magazines when you're going to a competition is quite embarrassing to admit to people, but I wasn't the only one, so I didn't feel that bad, but I still felt like an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Moishe, any gear recommendations for a first time uh like match attendee? Are you a chest rig guy, belt kit,
Yeah.
like kind of all the above?
Yeah, I'm going to have both, and it primarily I'm going to run off of a belt,
Mhm.
and as much as I can. But there may be a stage where a chest rig is going to make more sense, so that's going to be in my cart. It's rare that I ever put on a chest rig, but it will happen, and I'm going to have that chest rig with me. One thing that I didn't think of for the first timers, I didn't put in the notes, was bring twice the amount of ammo that they say that you're going to need.
Oh yeah, you will
Oh yeah.
miss.
Yep.
So you will miss, and you'll also have that confidence that you will have enough to finish the match, whatever it is. But I think for me, it's probably plus 50% at this point. But I think that plus 100% is probably the right move. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you to have it, even if half of it is left in your car. You can always go back to your car and get it. So you're not carting it around all day. But that is. I have my chest, or not my chest rig, but my belt here. I don't know how well this is going to do on camera, but this
Here,
is
let me make you
this
bigger.
is my AK and my. I should do it in front. Let me move the microphone here. Scoot back a little bit. Okay,
Can
so
you
this
just make
is
them
my.
full screen?
I don't know what I'm doing, Paul. I'm trying
This
to
is
make them
my.
bigger. I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, we're going all over the place.
All right, I'll just leave it there.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Let's go around the world.
Yeah, right.
This is a 2-gun rig. This is a and my
Boom,
AK
like that.
rig. Okay, a couple things I'll point out. It's a Safari Land belt. I like it. I also like the double alpha belts. Whatever you do, it has to be rigid. So you can see I'm holding it behind it, but it's not flopping around, right?
Right.
It's rigid.
It's like a hula hoop.
And the thing that I like about this particular belt is if you look at this side, I can take whatever off. I can take things off. Let me see if I can do this. This comes off if I don't need this for a stage, or I need
Right.
a pistol mag there. I can then slide that on. Same thing for the gun holster. That completely comes off. If I'm shooting a match that is not a 2-gun match, it's just an AK match.
Yep.
I will say for mag pouches, these ghost holsters are freaking squared away for AK. These work really well, and you can see I've got 2 different styles. One is drop, it's dropped down a little bit, and one is up a little bit. And I will run both of those. I tend to run the drop one, I think, up front, and then I run this one as a spare mag in back. But these are squared away. They work really well. They're highly adjustable for tension, which I really like a lot. But this is great. I do have this ratchet here, which is freaking great, but I had to add this myself. I'll see if I can find the link to where that is, but it says M2 on it. I don't know if that means anything, but that didn't come with this belt. Huge. Yeah, I did have my pants come down one time when I was running.
Like to the ankle?
No, it wasn't that bad, but I mean, it wasn't great.
That would have been awesome.
It wasn't great. It wasn't great. And but that really that ratchet strap, I really like that a lot. And now I think Double Alpha Academy, DAA, has its standard on some of their belts. Their inner belt also kind of cool. I know I think Hunter Constantine has it, but also Double Alpha Academy. So you've got this inner belt that it actually goes through your belt loops.
The Velcro.
And on the DAA, they make a new inner belt where it has a floppy part here. This piece, just this little section right here, is not rigid, which works really well when you're using a ratchet strap, because then that can bunch a little bit without getting uncomfortable. So that, I think that's certainly a winner right there.
Now, speaking of belts, I'm a G code man. That's the belt I wear, not rigid. I love it very much. The one thing, I wouldn't even say it's an issue. It's just I don't know. It's kind of, it makes me nervous. Is the mag holsters, which I've never had an issue with. I've never dropped a mag out of the mag holsters, but like it fits half. I think I can get taller ones, but it fits like half of my rifle mag. And when I run, I can just feel it like slapping me on the side, and I'm always just nervous. Like I'll hurry up and put my hand on it as I'm running. And I've never had one fall out. But that's where like the chest rig is just added security for me in that aspect, because I have no doubt in my mind that the magazines are going to stay in the chest rig. But I do love the belt. I feel like it's quicker acquisition. Is that the word I'm looking for, Paul? For my magazines? Probably not. Probably the wrong word. But
That's a popular system. John runs that system, and
Yeah.
and he swears by it. He really likes it a lot.
yeah.
So yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and like you said, it's easily. Oh, I'm not using the pistol. I can just take this off. I'm just running rifle today. So, but I
Same
noticed
thing.
with your pistol holster, maybe it's just because I have not an old hand at the competition game as yourself, but like mine has the little thumb release where the back strap comes over to hold the magazine in, because I feel like with that there's like no back retention, right? It's just all retention when you put the pistol in there. Like you don't have a strap that goes over the back of the gun, right?
So
Yeah.
this one right here, you have to depress this in order for the gun to release.
Okay, yeah,
This
see,
is,
that makes
I
me feel
think,
a little bit better.
I think this is this Safariland GLS.
Okay, I
And
trust this is
both John and
Fireland.
I run this, and it's sort of universal. It works. This works with a lot of guns, but we run it with Shadow 2s, and it's pretty squared away. You can, but I mean, I've chopped the crap out of this thing. I mean, I cut it for the red dot. I
Yeah.
cut it to fit the. I had an extended safety at one point, so I cut that piece out of it. But this, you do need, if you're shooting a 2-gun competition, you do need something that has some sort of retention. The retention
Right.
you're talking about is absolutely fine. This is really quick, and it works. These work really well.
Yeah.
We like these a lot, and they're not expensive. I think they're under $50.
I mean, I don't feel like the strap necessarily like slows me down on the draw. It just, to me, it's just, if I didn't have something over the back of it, I would just be nervous again running with that thing in there. Like, oh my God, is it gonna fall out? Is it gonna fall out? Is it gonna fall out? I mean, I do trust my holster. It's a great holster, but it's just an added level of security for my peace of mind, basically, is all it is. Because nobody
I'm-
wants to get DQ'd for something stupid like that. Like your pistol fell out and it was pointing at everybody. Go home.
Yep.
I'm also in the Safariland ecosystem. And I use the same, not the GLS, but all of mine are the ALS system. Same thing, but it's essentially active retention that you have to defeat by hitting that nub. There's different tiers essentially that Safariland has, where then you can also get one where it has the backstrap that goes over the top of it, if that's something that you necessarily wanted. But in terms of like a 2-gun holster, man, Safariland is tough to beat for me. And I don't say that as somebody who's paid by Safariland, unless they want to hit me up. But that system of retention that's on the Safariland, I mean, you could sit there all day and reef on that thing, and I think that your gun's going to break before the Safariland holster breaks. I mean, they're really squared away. For the magazine pouches, the holders that you were showing, do those work for both 7.62 mags and 5.56 mags?
Yes.
Fantastic.
And then you've got 4 screws here that are all finger adjustable.
Oh,
Yeah. So you can
Oh,
adjust
finger
the
adjustable.
tension exactly how you want.
That's
But
not like screaming at somebody, I need a T10 Torx bit. to fix my retention right now, and everybody's like, "What? No, I have
Oh,
a
that's a
Phillips
good
head."
one. That's a good one. Did you pack in your bag the tools you need to administer your equipment?
Oh, dude,
That's
I
a
have
great point, Jamie.
yeah, in my bag, and like anytime I buy a new optic and it comes with here's your little Allen wrench or here's your little fancy screwdriver, all that shit goes in my range bag. I have like the
Mm.
one side pocket just full of an array of multiple Allen wrenches, screwdrivers, batteries, rubber bands, paracord, anything I can think of, zip ties, all types
If
of dumb shit.
if you are willing to spend the money, Fix-It sticks are worth it.
Yeah.
That system is unbelievable. I think, yeah, I think, yeah. Again, my
Paul, pull
wife and
that up
daughter,
for me.
it's something I wasn't willing to spend on myself. They spent it on me, but they got me a little Fix-It stick set for one of the holidays, and it's really nice. It's a really good system to have, and you just have everything that you
Oh
need
yeah, I've
right
seen
there.
these. These look fantastic, actually.
Um,
This
yeah,
might be a buy for me today because I had uh, just something as simple as my pistol grip on my rifle got loose yesterday. And I was like, well, shoot, I don't have, and it was just a flathead screwdriver that I needed. And I didn't have that in the kit. But I mean, these look like they just have, you know, everything that's on here. They've
Yeah.
got 3-gun specific one. Wow. Yeah, this is quite the system.
Oh yeah. And it looks
and
it's not like
ratcheting.
a
They have a whatchamacallit, a torque wrench.
Yep.
There's a set with the torque wrench. The I'm trying to see which one. Let me see if I can find the one that I actually use. I'm looking on the website myself. But I think the one that I have it's like sort of a middle tier, and then I just
Mhm.
added on a couple pieces to it. Like I think I might have just gotten the pistol one. Um,
That is a fancy looking setup. That's
um,
Fix-It sticks, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're looking at right
Fix-It
now.
sticks. We're open to sponsorship. Fix-It
Yeah.
sticks. You wanna
Fix-It
talk
Sticks
about
is the best company I know of when it comes to needing tools for your competition shooting. It's
Yeah,
no
this
Okay. I think it's the
this one
handgun
looks.
and optics toolkit is maybe the
oh, look
one
at that.
that
Yep.
I have.
Yeah. And
Um,
see, that's a nice little all around, everything's already packed in a nice little bag for you.
yeah,
That might be a buy for me too, because I've been honestly eyeballing. I see that quite often pop up every now and then, and I'm like,
Mhm.
damn, I need to get something like that instead of just don't open that zipper because you're gonna have a whole bunch of Allen wrenches and shit fall out. That's my tool pouch, where like that's like somebody who cares and keeps their stuff well organized, which is not necessarily how Jamie works, but I
to
try.
the set I got, I will say I did have to buy, and they do sell them separately, or you can just go to Home Depot and get whatever. But you want to get a complete, sort of more complete torque set, more
Yeah,
complete Allen wrench set than maybe what it has there. But still, the thing, you can still keep it compact the way that it is. Some of the kits they have are like $400 and just way too big for what you would
yeah,
need at a match. But yeah, I think that's a super tool system. There are a couple wrenches that I have, like if I run um, the double alpha, I think it's double alpha G holsters, like on USPSA. This one requires a specific torque wrench.
oh yeah,
It's on an L, so I do have that in my bag. This is cool. Magnet, very handy for pistol stuff.
That's
Um,
something that I'm looking to add to my AK kit because steel AK mags. I
mm,
just want something to kind of quick retain it there, but I haven't been able to find a
ooh,
magnet big enough yet.
yep.
So they'll
that
stick, but
seems
then the second I move, they bounce off. So I'm
yeah,
trying to
So
get something big.
what I'm using the magnet for more than anything else is that's where my start magazine sits.
Hmm.
So the one that's gonna go in my gun under make ready, that's where that goes. Occasionally I'll run something on if I have to pick up a mag off a table and retain it, then it goes on the magazine.
nice.
But I'm not just using it as a general purpose storage. It's my start mag, or if I have to pick something up off a table and retain it there. Jamie, something you said about the magazines and how the mag is sort of flopping around. Like
Yeah.
when we talk about testing our gear, like that's something we want to be able to develop the confidence. And one thing that I would say to you about that is it sounds to me like you need to go for a jog with
I
your
was
mag
just thinking that. Yeah,
on your belt,
honestly.
so and then you're going to know, and you're going to develop that confidence. When
Yeah.
we do KCON, we have to have, you don't have to, but we have drop pouches because you have to retain your mags at KCON, right?
Mhm.
So are the mags going to bounce out of it?
Oh,
I'll
good
tell
thing
you
you
what, I
mentioned
mean,
that.
there are 3 that John and I tested where the magazines just bounced right out when we were
Yeah.
moving around.
My first KCON, actually, that happened to me, and I was literally, were you at the last one in, where was that, Houston? The last one they did there 2 years ago?
No, I have
Okay.
missed the summer one the past 2 years
Okay.
because Matt is a jerk and he does it on my anniversary or my wife's birthday. So
Well, I
Come
I
on,
love
Matt.
Matt. I
Come on,
love
Come
Matt.
Matt,
on, man.
but pick it up,
I
Matt.
do
Come on.
too.
But so anyways, there was a
That stuff he's
stage.
got to work around too, and
Yeah.
so,
It was, yeah, Mother's Day was a rough one this year because my mom, what are we doing Mother's Day? I'm like, oh, I'll be in Missouri. And she's like, oh, cool. What are we doing? I'm like, I am a shooting
hi.
competition. I love you, Mom. But
Love you, Mom, but
so yeah,
Mom,
one of
here's
them
this arsenal. You're
stages.
coming along.
This will be dedicated to you, Mom.
Yeah, one of them stages,
Going
like
for you. I'm gonna
you
make you proud.
started. You like started in a box, had to pick up a heavy ass bag, run, shoot, lay on this little platform, shoot, and then run all the way back to the box. I know shit. If you watch the video, I was a step and a half from stepping in that finish box, and that magazine fell out of my dump pouch because I had it like on my like back end, like I don't know, what's that, 5 o'clock ish, and that costed me. And I was literally right there. And so now I found one where there's a little drawstring that you pull after you drop your mags in there, and it actually closes up so that nothing can come out of the pouch, which I wish I would have done the first year because I think I would have placed it a little bit better if I didn't drop that magazine that one stage. Because was that 30 seconds, Paul? If you don't retain a mag, yeah, 30
It's a killer.
seconds is huge.
Where do you guys run your dump pouch at? Are you running it at like a 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or are you kind of repositioning it on your belt?
I do like
My
11 now, 10, 11.
yeah, I'm at 11.
Because I am the front dumpy. I'm all about it. I
Yeah.
want to run it like right on my front. I picked up one that I really like from Sword. They call it the Tactical Exploitation Dump, but it like rolls up. It's got a top that you can kind of zip, like spring together. I can show you here because I'm not doing a just.
Paul, why don't you pull that up for me?
I got you. But it just rolls up and out of the way. So kind of Moishe, what you were talking about, where it's, hey, if I don't
Oh,
need
yeah.
this for this stage, is it something I can take off, or is it something that I can kind of remove?
Yeah.
Most of the time, I am running a chest rig of some kind. So just having it kind of fold up either underneath that, or it does have enough Velcro where I can Velcro it to the front of my belt kind of over the top of itself. And just having it at 12 o'clock where then I can just kick the mag out and then it's just right there is something that I have been pretty successful with. And you might say, well, if you're running, is it just going to swing back and hit you in the nards? An apt question. It hasn't happened to me yet. It might happen to somebody else. But this is just something that I have found where if I'm out jogging with my kid and if I'm jumping up and down, it's deep enough where it will seat the mag further down into the dump pouch, where if it is going to come out, it's just going to hit more material and then just flip inside of itself.
There you go.
Hmm.
Now, when you were asking about position, Paul, I find since I've been moving to the belt, I try to keep everything with like a 180 in front of me, nothing behind, what's it, 9 or 3 o'clock, nothing to where I have to reach behind me, because at that point you can't see. You know what I'm saying? So like if you have to put a mag somewhere or grid a mag, like you can't see what the hell's going on. You're basically just like a feel and find at that point instead of looking down and going, oh, it's right there. Let me just move this over a bit and then I can reholster that magazine. So at least that's what I've been trying to do with my belt, is keep everything in the front half of myself and nothing behind, because I just feel like that just kind of messes you up a little bit unless you're really good, which I'm working towards. But I just don't feel like that's something smart to start off with, is just putting, oh, here, let me put this magazine right behind me, because you're, I don't know, 1 out of 10 times you're not going to grab that magazine when you think you're just reaching back there to grab it. You're going to fool around for a second or two trying to find it. That's just me. But that's why I've been trying to keep everything up front as best as I can. But I don't shoot a lot of two gun, but I'm working on that.
Moishe, any kind of belt recommendation setups that you would have? Are you running things behind you, or do you kind of keep things in front of you as well?
Let me look at my belt here. So, one thing that I would say is whatever is coming off of my belt, I am never looking. I'm never looking. My hand just goes there.
There you
and
go.
and again, that's just out of running matches.
Yeah.
I shoot a match every freaking weekend. Some match I'm at pretty
Attaboy.
much every single weekend. So I shoot a lot of matches. So so I get used to where it is. Okay, so let's see. So if my gun is here, the furthest back that something is on my belt is at, I would say, about 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And that would be a rarity that I
Yeah.
would need to get something at 8 o'clock. Pretty typically, it's going to be, I'm only going to be grabbing one thing off of my belt. Now, if I have to retain mags, I'm probably going to look at where I'm retaining the mag, like dropping it in. My eyes are going to go down there. It's not something that I do a whole lot. It's the only time that happens is at KCON that I have to retain a mag. So I just don't do it enough to, number one, and number two, it just feels like you're actually putting something into something else. You kind of, whenever you're doing something, like when I'm reloading, my eyes are on the mag well, whatever I'm trying to do, that's where my eyes go. When I'm shooting, my eyes are going to the target before the gun gets there. And then the gun follows your eyes, so that's the one time that I'm actually looking at something on my belt, that, or I seriously fucked something up and it's not where it's supposed to be, or, something went wrong if I'm, which happens, right?
Oh yeah.
What mag did I leave behind? Where did this one end up? I know it's supposed to be here.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
So you're shooting a match every single weekend. What AK matches are you really looking to shoot throughout the course of a year? Like, hey, these 8, 10, 12 are like kind of on my must shoot list when it's not my anniversary or my wife's birthday, or your wife's birthday, not my wife.
If he's shooting 12 AK matches, he's shooting every AK major there is.
No, I'm not. I said I'm shooting a match, not an AK match. When I say I'm shooting a match, it could be a 22 long range match. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm shooting AKs. Now, John and I said when we started this that we would go anywhere that was 8 hours away or less. Now, Thunder on the Tundra is actually 9. And Carolina might be 9 too, but we tell ourselves it's 8. So
just drive a little faster.
Okay. But KCON, that is the most important match to both of us.
Oh yeah.
Both the winner, they have a tactical games in the winter in January. I'll be there. I'll be ROing for that one. And then they have the regular summer one, which the summer one I've missed the past 2 years. But I hopefully it'll be on a date this year where I can go.
I hope so.
But I mean, KCON is both of our favorite match. There is nothing in the country that looks, feels. I mean, it is the match.
Oh yeah.
For us, it is 100%. It is the hardest match that we run. out of any type of competition, there is no match that is harder than that. If just to set your expectation, there is a good chance that you will time out on some stages. Maybe not all of them, but you may have a timeout. You may, the matches are not designed, the stages are not designed that every single person will finish every single stage within the allotted time. They're just not designed that way. You will have to lift heavy stuff. You will have to run. You will have to shoot targets at far away. You will have to shoot targets close. Pistol skills are important. If there's one match in the country to do, it's that one.
Hell yeah.
That bar none,
Agreed.
that is the
And that
match.
everybody knows that one's like the hardest AK match. Everybody talks about how it's the worst. So doing that one, if you can get through that one and get through it all, you've just done something fantastic. Like,
Yep.
it's a feat, and I love it because of the competitive edge of it and because of the physicality of it. It's by far, I'll say it is my favorite match. It is my favorite match of the year. And that one is like one I have to, if I can only do one, it's that one for
Yep.
sure.
Yep. So beyond that, we go to Mitten State Mayhem. Unbelievably good match.
Yeah.
Really, really well run. Lots of fun stages. Carolina Kalash Classic was sort of an offshoot of AK Masters, I believe. And then AK Masters, both of those great matches. AK Masters is the most competitive AK match that I know of that's within a 9-hour of me. It's possible that Red October is even more competitive, but AK Masters, I mean, I think in my division I was like 13th place, and it's just a super, super, super competitive match. Locally, we shoot a match at Pickaway County Sportsman PCSI. There's a 2-gun match that really does a good job at a local level of sort of mimicking that KCON feeling of having that physicality. Maybe you're having to throw kettlebells all over the place.
There you go.
But that's where we go and run our AKs. That we like that a lot. Thunder on the Tundra. We skipped this year. I don't know if I'm going to be back to that match. It just depends where that match goes. And trust me, they don't need me to be there. Okay. That match sells out. They have plenty of people. Everyone is happy with that match. So, they don't need me. But there's just a few things there that have, it's been a little bit rougher of a match for me. It's a 2-day match, 16 hours to shoot 7 to 8 stages. That's 2 hours a stage, and I wasn't there this past year. So I don't know what has been resolved or what has run smoothly, but I think it still probably took 14 hours to shoot 7 stages. That's 2 hours a stage. That's not enough shooting for me. I'm sorry. For me, that's not enough shooting. When we go to that, it's the least amount of shooting with the most amount of time of any match that we attend. Now they are doing a lot though. I mean, so that's part of it. You can't, some of what they're doing, I mean, they're long stages there, and that's going to take time, but it also has to do with, having 20 people on a squad rather than having 10. The bonus stage guns, there's a little bit of, it's too much time. It's too much. They're giving you or taking, you think of it as a bonus, but if you don't get it, it's sort of like it's taken away from you. That's too much. 30 seconds, a minute, something like that. That can be the difference between, finishing first place and someone else who got lucky on a weapon system that no one else ever has shot. Launching a practice grenade off of an AK. No one does that, so it's completely lucky. And to get that much of a bump a 30-second bump to do something that, and maybe you're the first on the stage to have to do that and can't see, that's too much. Anytime, I'm a big fan of that stuff, like stage guns and, all that kind of funky stuff. I'm a big fan of it. In my opinion, the allotted time has to be really small. So it's a 5-second bonus or a 10-second bonus, or you just start the timer right after that task is completed. And you get all the fun, but you don't lose any of the competitive equity.
And that's something that Mitten State did this year. It was the first year that both Jamie and I shot Mitten State, that I thought that they did great. They had one stage where you shot the stage, and then at the end they said, okay, here's your bonus event, throw this grenade, and if it lands within this square, I think it was 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was off the clock, and it was still, and it wasn't enough where it was like if you missed it, your stage was just completely done. So
Right.
I 100% agree with you on all points.
And then the only other thing about Thunder is, I think they've had a few issues with ROs in the past. And I wasn't there this year. Again, I wasn't there, but I don't like getting yelled at for things I shouldn't be getting yelled at for.
Yep.
And that's happened the 2 times that I've been to Thunder. That has happened to me multiple.
Which RO was it? Name names.
Yeah, I'm going to name names, right? I don't know the names, but
I can guarantee I know the people that you're talking about.
Yeah. So those are, and that can ruin it. You get yelled at, like, that, it takes it, to do ROing the right way. I mean, I feel like that's it. I don't want to say it's a skill. It is a skill set, but it has to be the right personality type. Someone that wants to be helpful, but still able to maintain rules and safety. It's not easy. It takes the right mindset to be able to do that. And then to do it for 8 hours after you got done, working and setting everything up and having a thankless job and no one understanding what it takes to do what, all of that stuff, to be able to do that and to not be as competitive. I mean, I guarantee you, if you are ROing, your performance is going to be 10% worse when you're shooting the match. You're losing 10% because of what you had to do with setting up the day before, because you're running shooters instead of going over the stage in your head. People sort of think, oh, well, you set up the stages, so you know what's happening and all of that. Yeah. But it's really common knowledge for us that, if you are ROing, it's some people might say 5, some people might say a 20% disadvantage, but there is a competitive disadvantage to doing it. But there are so many advantages to actually volunteering. There's so many things that I love about it. I have the pride in having a great stage and running it safely. I know that if I don't step up, if people don't step up, the matches are going to die. This is a volunteer sport. We have to have that. There's I get to see the best shooters in the world shooting a stage. The best shooters that do what we do. I get to shoot the match for free, become part of its own little community, in whatever match you're doing. And you don't have to do them all, pick one. Pick one. For me, for John, it's KCON. That's what we're going to do. And if you don't formally volunteer, Paul, this goes back to what you said. You still have to be, I don't have to, but you should be an advocate for the sport. So if you see someone you don't recognize, you should be going in and introducing yourself. Hey, do you have any questions? Let me know if you need anything. Hey, I saw you running this. That's really good. Whatever it is, but be friendly. If you see someone that you don't recognize on your squad, go and help them out, make them feel welcome. That's going to build what we're doing here. If you are ROing, you do typically have to, or if you're volunteering at one of these matches, you typically have to be there a day in advance. You have to have a really good understanding of the rules and how to apply them. I love it. It's great. It's become its own. It's for me, and I think for John too. I think he'd say the same thing. It's become its own thing. It's something we really enjoy, and we love the guys that we work with at KCON. It's been phenomenal.
I think
Yeah.
since I've started volunteering more and ROing at quite a few different matches, I've become a better shooter at the matches that I'm not working. Because it's just when you say like it's its own thing, it really is its own mindset of okay, what am I looking at? When I'm ROing, I'm not really looking at targets necessarily a lot of the times. I'm looking at what the shooter's doing.
Right.
Because it goes back to the safety. Where are they pointing their gun? How are they their body? Where are they moving along? Is there anything that I can, call out before an actual DQ event happens? And kind of watching, a couple of years ago at Thunder, we had Josh Freilich, who's probably one of the best three-gun, multi-gun shooters in North America come through, and just seeing the way that he approached the stage, where it was all business. He walked up and his camera guy was to the side of him. And I said, "Oh, it's not every day that you get to, RO the, your Instagram hero." And he kind of laughed to himself a little bit and then completely blank on his face. And it was like, "Oh, this is showtime."
Game time.
Yeah,
right.
like it is on. And he like adjusted kind of everything to where he needed it to be. He took his sight picture and it was, "Hey, this is my stage. I'm not going to be rushed. I'm not going to I'm setting myself up right now in this moment to do what I need to do in order to perform." And he shredded. Just
yeah.
absolutely. And to see a guy who's 6'4", 260 run that fast, it's like getting charged by a bear. It
Big boy.
was that was one of those moments where I thought to myself like, "Hey, I've seen really good shooters." And then I saw him.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a whole other
100%.
class of shooter out there that I didn't even know existed until this moment.
Yeah.
I remember when I seen him at Thunder, it was that Hollywood shootout match with all the cars. He was in the squad in front of me. And I think there was like 120-second par time. And I think I shot it in like 80. And then I watched him and he did it in like 23 or something. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, I want to be like that guy. Because he was on fire. And it was just fluid movement. He was
That
like
was his
Bruce
second
Lee.
run. His first run, he bailed hard.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
lost his ear pro and got reset. And that's just like, it's that I only bring that up to say, bailing is going to happen in this sport. And he did that because of how aggressive his movement was.
Oh, yeah.
I believe, number one. And number two, he had an extra 60 or 80 pounds, whatever that bag weighed, on his shoulder.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the bag.
You weren't used to shooting with. But his gun stayed pointed in the safe direction, whatever. He is phenomenal. He is unbelievable. And just so you know, plug in there for Josh Freilich, his F5 range. He teaches rifle classes and he teaches PCC classes. That's in
I actually sent him a message on Instagram a while ago because I remember, I think it was last year, he had a racing AKs little class he was doing. And I couldn't make it because it was like 4th of July weekend. Work wouldn't let me take off, whatever. But he told me he should have one coming up in March, which I plan on attending. And I think signups are in December. Anybody looking,
I'm gonna come to that with
don't
you.
take my spot.
We'll talk
is all
about
I
it.
ask. But yeah, I'm very interested in getting a little lesson from him.
He's an unbelievable teacher. I've taken 2 classes out there. I took a carbine class and I took a PCC class. Out there a year or 2 ago, and he had Max Leograndis out there teaching PCC with him. He's the best PCC shooter in the world right now. It was the 2 of them teaching. It's phenomenal. What an unbelievable ambassador for this sport.
When you went out there, this was at the F5 range, right?
Yep.
Did you stay at the cabin or did you go somewhere else?
Yeah.
You did?
No, yeah.
Isn't it awesome? That's why, dude, I've seen pictures of it and I was like, damn, that would be awesome.
Great.
Right,
I only bring it out so
then.
that he gives me a free stay next time he has a class.
Nice. Well, let me sleep on the floor if you get one of those little cabins.
Right.
We love you, Josh.
Yeah.
that has been something that I've wanted to do for a long time too. So this might be a 3-pack
Oh yeah,
headed over there.
All right.
I'm definitely gonna because I've never taken a class. I'm just a self-taught moron, which I can only teach myself so much, and I don't know what I'm doing in the first place. So what am I going to teach myself? But I've never taken a class, and I think that would be a great class to take from a great shooter. And it's just because I mean I've seen other classes in the area, like, hey, take this class, and I'm like, who's the guy teaching this? Is it just
Yeah,
some
you,
guy?
you have to be careful
Mhm.
about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
But I mean, this is a very accredited shooter who
yep.
I know I can learn something from, and he's gonna teach me something. It's not
Yep.
like, "Hey, it's Wild Bill's carbine school. Come on down." I'm like, "Who the hell's Wild Bill? What's this guy's at? What's he doing?"
I can tell you right now, if I was going to take another class, it'd be Josh Froelich and Max Leograndis. It'd be any of the PTSG, the Practical Shooting Training Group guys, any of those guys, or it'd be Steve Anderson.
Okay.
That's or Tom Castro. That would be number 5. Any of those. Yeah, if I was going to take it, that's what I do. Um,
Now I'm even more
From
yeah,
excited to go to this.
from an
yeah.
intro to kind of carbine standpoint, I did the Vortex Edge. So Vortex Optics in the southern part of Wisconsin actually has their own like indoor range facility that it's 100-yard indoor range. It's pretty incredible. But they have kind of their own carbine pipeline to go through. And I did this a couple of years ago. They've since raised their prices, but I still think that for what it is, if you're new to carbine shooting, I got a lot out of it. I thought that they were incredible. The class sizes are really small, and their instructors are really, really good. They kind of have a cadre of instructors that are there. And I mean, the class that I was in, it was me plus 4, and then I want to say there were 8 instructors. So it was really, really hands on. And from a class standpoint, the thing that I look for is, are they going to give you something that you can take back with you that you can kind of continue on with your training? So it's not just you go to the class, you kind of shoot whatever drills that they set up for you there. Okay, great, bye. But do
Yeah,
they
here's
kind
your
of do they
certificate.
yeah, do they provide you with something that you can take back to your home range that you can do on your own time? Hey, here's a drill where it's 3 targets, 10 rounds that you can create a baseline for. And if you have your own timer, I think that's just an even better way to kind of collect data and actually show if you're either improving, staying the same, or wow, there is something that is really going off the rails with me right now.
You have to have a
Yeah,
timer.
Yeah.
There's that is a necessary training tool.
yeah.
No question.
Speaking of timers and shooting, I was looking at your list here, and there's one thing. Watch your videos. I mean, I'm kind of skipping ahead of a few things here, but watch your videos. And I was I watch a lot of I mean, obviously I watch my videos. I make YouTube videos. And I don't do it for the clout. I do. But it's good. It's like football. It's like you got to watch your previous matches, see what you did wrong and everything else. But as
Mhm.
far as the timer goes, like and then another thing on your list here of making sure your shots count. Speed isn't everything. And the only, it doesn't nobody cares how fast you shoot like you said because I had 5 targets. I was doing 2 to the A zone, and then I had one little 4-inch shoot and see circle that I would shoot at the end, just shoot that. And it was like 10, 15, 20, 25 yards. I had just varying distances, of targets. But I think it was like 8 seconds was like my average to shoot everything twice and then shoot the circle. And I'm like, okay, 9 shots, second apiece, not bad. But when I tried to pick it up, I got just under 6 seconds. I was like, ooh, now I'm moving. But I missed 2 targets, and that's going to add time. So, yeah, cool. I did it in 6 seconds, but I just got 2 penalties for not, getting 2 shots where they were supposed to be. Whereas now the time added is going to be greater than 8 seconds rather than I could have just been happy with my 8 seconds, took my time and made the shots. So it's a good practice tool to time yourself and to see, you know, what you're doing, what you can do better, like watching the videos to see what you can do better. And I don't know, there's tons of things you can do to practice, but classes are a good one. But, timing yourself, just doing simple drills. Like the video I put out today, it's just simple drills. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated to get better. Just simple things can help you get better. Is basically what the video I did today was about. But that's just me rambling.
Hey, Moishe, do you have a kind of like video or a stage of like you running a stage or anything like that handy that you could show us? I'm just curious how kind of you approach a stage. What does your planning look like? What are you looking for? How many times are you looking to run through it kind of as you're like getting ready to run one?
Okay, so you said a whole lot there.
I did.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I'd like to break it down just a little bit into some separate sort of things. Now, one thing I do want to point out, we're going on an hour and 49 minutes. If you guys can believe that, that's crazy. So if you want, we can go through all this. I have a ton more. We could do another one if you want to do another one, or I can just keep going and we can keep going and I can go through, keep going. Up to you.
You know what? I don't know. I don't want to make it too much longer, but I don't want to feel like I'm cutting you off. So if you're ever down for a part 2, I would love a part 2.
Okay.
And
Yeah, same.
I feel bad that we've
part
been
2
going for
that I
2
have-
hours already.
No, and I'm good. I'm more thinking about the listeners, man.
Yeah.
I'm good. I could
If
talk
they're
another
still
2
listening
hours.
to up until this point, I appreciate all of you.
But the one thing that, like, the next, if we do a part 2, what I want to talk about is prepping to do your best.
Yes.
Like, what does that take to take things to the next level? What are the things that you're sort of looking at? And I'll throw like one tidbit out there for you, and that is, I'll throw 2 out there. And this is all right. I'm going to throw 3.
Oh, shit.
To start, follow Steve Anderson. Okay, he is the man when it comes to teaching how to shoot and how to think about shooting, how to think about it, how to prep for it, how to stage plan, how to do all of that. He will say it way better than I will. And anything that I say, I'm just going to be repeating what he says. But the 2 points that I would initially talk about is, instead of thinking about going faster, you think about doing things sooner, and you think about reducing the time spent not shooting.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's everything. So if I'm moving from one target, if I have to move from one position to another, if I don't exert a physical grunt out of my mouth when I move, I know I am not being aggressive enough in my movement. If I'm practicing with a timer, that timer takes, most timers, the sound of the beep is about 1/3 of a second. So how quickly am I reacting to that timer? So if I'm drawing from a holster, is the gun already coming out of the holster while the sound of the timer is still going off? If when I'm making a transition from one target to another, I've already, well, number one, I know how to call my shots, so I know without seeing a hole in the paper whether I've hit that target or not. But I am transitioning as quick as possible. The time that you make up, Jamie, when you're practicing and you're trying to get from 8 seconds down to 6 seconds, you have to think about, what do I need to do to get from 8 seconds to 6 seconds and still have my hits? Where can I reduce time? How much time am I spending transitioning from one target to the other? How much time is that? That's where you make it up, not in the splits.
Right.
It's in that. It's learning how to call your shots. It's it's one of the best things I learned from Steve Anderson, was learning how to call my shots. Yeah, I feel like I just said a lot. Stage
that's huge,
planning.
though, the calling your shots. Like, there's been multiple times where I've came up on a target 1-2, and I'm like, did I hit it? And I'm taking like a whole 2-3 seconds trying to figure out, should I pull the trigger again or keep going?
I'll give you your drill. Your drill. for learning how to call your shots. And I 100% learned this from Steve Anderson. You take two targets, you take a dirty target, one that's got a bunch of holes in it, and you put that on the front. You take a clean target, you put it on the back of the target stand. Okay. And you're shooting at the dirty target. Okay. And what you're looking for is, where was my dot when I pulled the trigger? Okay. Not where was it when I started to pull the trigger or when I saw it, but where was the dot when the gun actually went off, when it starts to lift? Where did it lift from? Okay.
Right.
So I'm going to take 2 rapid shots at the target. I'm going to pull the trigger as quickly as I can twice, maybe do it at 5, 10 yards, 20 yards, something like that, depending on what weapon system you're doing. And then I want you to think to yourself, where was that dot when I pulled, where did that dot raise from? Okay. That's where your shot is. Okay. The dot was there on my first shot. The dot was there when you make that mental note, and then you go around and you look at the back of the target and you say, was I right? And if not, if you're not, slow it down, start over, do it again. That's how you learn to call your shots. You're not looking for the hole in the target. You're looking for, where was the dot? Where were the iron sights? It's harder with iron sights. It's easier with the dot. But where was it when the shot broke? And if you know where the dot was when the shot broke, you know whether you had a good shot or not. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to wait, and you can jump off that transition.
Nice. I'm writing that down.
It's a great drill. It's a call your shot drill.
Yeah, I was looking up the Anderson shooting here, and this guy has a lot of information, it looks like. So
he's unbelievable. He's got a podcast. He's got a YouTube channel. He's
classes,
local to me. He's a great dude.
Okay, that's why you talk about him so much, because he's local.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, it seems like you get a lot of information, and you're sharing a lot of information, which I appreciate. But yeah, I mean,
it looks like he's all over the place.
Oh yeah, he's done classes all over the place.
North Carolina, Illinois. Oh, there's one for you. Illinois.
So he's got a class called Mental Management, which is done online. That's
Aurora.
the next thing that I'm going to do. I need to do his mental management. As you start to get better and better, your game becomes more and more mental. So the shooting becomes a little bit more just part of the skill set, and you start the mental aspects of the game become a bigger part of it.
So speaking of mental aspects, I played a lot of tennis growing up, and part of the sport of tennis is trying to mentally destroy your opponent. So it's, fucking with balls. Hey, I'm going to take a lot of time with my serve, things like that. You're not really doing that in competitive shooting sports. But if there's kind of like one mental aspect that you might have, thought about, where it is, hey, if it's raining, if it's really cold, if it's really hot, I'm going to stay locked in here because I see other people kind of like suffering and they hate it. And oh my gosh, I have to go stand underneath, this overhang. When I see that, that is something to me where I'm like, okay, I know that they're drained, and that kind of gives energy to me.
Oh yeah.
It's a crazy person aspect, but is there anything kind of like mentally that you kind of think about, either when you see other competitors or you see like a stage, to kind of keep yourself like in it when maybe the weather is not on your side?
Hi, Steve Anderson here.
Well, Steve says,
I'm going to decide before I get to that match what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm going to focus on for that match. Okay. And that is never going to be, for me, whether I'm in the contention to win it or not. And that has more to do with who shows up than anything else, right? If Josh Froelich shows up, if Adam Litke shows up, I'm not winning that match. There's no way. I'm going to be 75 to 80% of what those guys shoot. But what I am going to do is I'm going to decide what is my goal at that match. And if I can decide on that one thing, then I can always go back to that. And I'll give you a very simple example of that. And it also comes into, what is my focus phrase when I get up and I'm under make ready. And it's just, again, got it from Steve Anderson: center the dot, call the shot. Okay. And then the only other thing, there may be something else that I will throw in there right now. I'm big on transitions. So I think that there is so much time and geez, Steve Anderson in 2025 is going to be teaching a class specifically just on transitions. I just heard him announce that on one of his podcasts. But if you can reduce the time moving your gun from from shooting at one target to shooting at the other, if you can reduce that time, and again, it's not moving the gun there, it's how quickly can I get my eyes there, and the gun will follow. What do I have to do with my hips to be able to get that around? All of those kind of things. That's what I'll look at. But mental wise, okay, I came to this match to center my dot on the target, call the shot, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm going to focus on. And the rain's not going to slow me down, and who showed up at the match is not going to impact what I'm going to do. And again, and we are talking about this is. I'm a highly competitive guy, right? So this is going to get in the way of my socializing, right? I mean, you guys shot with me. I didn't socialize a ton. It could be in part because I'm a little awkward sometimes with socializing, but it's also because it's fun for me to be competitive like that. That's a fun aspect to me and more than anything else, I feel like I'm being competitive with myself. I'm not, I can't control who's at the match, who's coming to the match, who's whatever. If I do have someone, like if Josh Froelich is there, I might think to myself, okay, my goal is to be 80% of that guy, 80% of Adam, 80% of Jay Carrillo, one of those guys, maybe Tim Ho. I want to tie Tim Ho. I want to beat Tim Ho, because I shoot pretty similarly to the way, well, he's a way better shooter than me, but I think he makes some mental errors. So, and I think he'd tell you that same thing, but I want to shoot, whatever I may think about individual guys that way, but I'm never going to a match and like, okay, I'm going to win this one, or whatever. I don't think about it in that way. And I'm not that level. I'm just not that level. I'm an A-class USPSA shooter. I'm not a master. I'm not a grandmaster. And if you are a master or grandmaster, you either know what I'm talking about or you shouldn't be listening to me because you know way more than I do anyway. So.
And I'm neither of those things. So I'm locked in.
I'm just some guy who tries to do better than I did last time. And that's all I can hope for.
The first match that I went to, I had probably the biggest delusion of grandeur out of anybody that's ever existed. I legitimately thought I was going to win. Like I'd never shot a match before, and I did the meme. I don't think that my gun was zeroed.
Well, you got to go in there somewhat confident. You can't go in there being like, well, hopefully I just don't get DQ'd and it'll be a good day. You got to go in there like, I can do this, until like you shit the bed on the first two stages and then you just beat yourself up the rest of the time like I did at Thunder. But that's neither here nor there.
Hey, yeah, you gotta. That's part. That is part of the mental game, Paul. I think you were getting ready to say.
Oh, it was rough.
So how do you move on? How do you? And hey, Steve Anderson, he's got a podcast for that. Look it up. How do you move on from a bad match? How do you move on from a bad stage? He's got 30 minutes on that.
Yeah. I think I did pretty decent getting past it the second day until. Yeah, I don't know. Other issues arose and my glio fucked up.
The truth is,
it's whatever.
The stuff that you're struggling with, the rest of the competitors are probably struggling with similar things too.
But you know what really pissed me off about it is I was sitting there beating the shit out of myself like, you're doing so terrible. You're god awful. Oh my goodness, and then like after I looked at the practice score, I was like, I did better than half the people there and I had the worst fucking time of my life. Yeah. It's like, so what am I bitching about? Honestly, it's like they couldn't beat me on my worst day. Half the people there couldn't get past me on my worst day. So that's a good thing, I guess, if you think of it like that. I mean, I'm trying to sound cocky, but on my worst day, I still did better than half the people, which is not bad. I'm not complaining about that one bit.
I think I've heard that in the sports ball realm. Like we
Yeah.
want to be able to win on our worst day. That was, I think there was a Patriots like documentary. We want to be able to win every time on our worst day.
Yeah. It means something.
That sounds like
Yeah.
something Jordan would say too. But he
Yeah.
wouldn't say it in like a positive light. He would say it where he's like, I could beat you on my worst day, and then he'd hit a three in
Yeah.
your face. Well, that was
Yeah.
the flu game, essentially. Okay, nope. Sorry.
We're
I
not
could talk
getting
about the 96 Bulls all day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're 2 hours into it. I hate to do this, but I don't want to keep dragging this on, especially if we're gonna have a two-parter, because I think this has been going great so far. This has been a
Absolutely.
fantastic guest we have here, full of information, very informative. Nothing like the first couple podcasts I did.
Oh, come on. You're doing freaking great. This is an amazing podcast, and
I'm trying.
and you're gonna cringe in.
We haven't even brought up
5 years
cereal
when
yet.
you go back and listen to your first ones, including this one.
Oh yeah.
But you will. But yeah, this is great. This is I think you guys are doing a super job at this, and I super appreciate. I love listening. I really do, and I think you're doing a great job, and it's a great service, and I hope you keep it up. I really
Well,
do.
now I know who the little dot is in Ohio when it says I have a download in
That's
Ohio.
right. Yep,
Yeah.
there you go.
But I very much appreciate you for coming on. I very much appreciate you for reaching out, because that was amazing that you were like, hey, great podcast. And I'm like, really? I was like, I didn't think that was a good episode. And you're like, nah, man. You're like, I loved it. And if you ever
Yeah.
need somebody, I'd love to be on. I'm like, no shit. Seriously? I was like, and I told Paul, I was like, dude, I was like, he hit me up wanting to come on. He's like, yes, hell yes. So we were both very excited that you decided to do this. And I can't thank you enough. And I'm
I'm happy
thank you
to.
again.
I've been wanting, when John and I started shooting, there weren't any videos that we could go to. We were looking for, what to expect at your first match. How should I prep for it? And all we could see was, videos of people with their gear laid out saying what we were going to bring. That was all. So I thought, I've been doing this in my head for a while. Like, what do people need to know the first time they come? And then the second, if we do end up doing a second part, it's what do I need to do my best? How do I prep for that? So I've got that. I got that. I'm ready for it. So
hell yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
thanks for doing this, man.
Oh, dude.
Thank you for being here.
The pleasure's all on this side of the microphone, believe me. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, this has been part 1, because we will be doing a part 2 of Shoot Are You Ready podcast with our special guest Moishe. And I don't know, this has just been a great time. And I'm gonna hit the end, play the outro. If you guys want to hang out for a minute in the little studio room here, we'll chit chat for a second afterwards. But this has been the Shoot Are You Ready podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Yeah, appreciate you guys, and we will see you on the next one. And
Shoot ready.
Shooter ready? Stand by. Shooter ready. Stand by.
Shooter, are you ready? Stand by.
Shooter ready. Stand by.